Well, hello, everyone. It is another magnificent Monday. Hey, everybody. It is Gwen here, Miss G, ready to just spend this time with you all on today. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend. I hope that you had a wonderful week and that you're excited about this week, everything that God is getting ready to do for you. So I'm here in Miss G's Ladies Lounge. We are so excited. We have a great guest on tonight, and we are getting ready to get started. What I'd like for you to do is just take a moment, like, tag, and share. Let someone know that we are live and we are ready to have this great chat with our guest on tonight. We want to welcome all of our live, and even if you're catching the replay, we want to say welcome to Miss G's Ladies Lounge. Again, I am your host, Gwen Finley. Yep, that's me. And so I'm excited today. I have with me today a guest that is going to come, and he has so much wisdom and information to share with you, especially if you are a parent or if you're a grandparent or if you know parents. Tell them to join us right now because they're really going to need to hear some of this information that we're going to have today. So, as we always do, let's just say a brief word of prayer just to get started. God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all things. We thank you for life, health, and strength. We thank you for bringing us through another week, through another month, through another day. We thank you for opportunity to come and to share with your people once again. I pray today, God, that you would bless them abundantly as they join in with us. And today I pray that you would bless my guest and that you would continue to let him empower others that they may grow and succeed. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, so that was a nice quick prayer. And I want to tell you a little bit about my guest. But first, let's just take this little intro. Well, okay, there you have it. So we're back and we are excited getting ready for this wonderful chat with this young man today in Miss G's Ladies Lounge. Hey, we are not prejudiced against the men and the brothers. We invite everyone to come into the lounge because we can learn so much from our men as well as our women. So although we very often focus on a lot of women, believe me, what we need in our lives is the male perspective as well. So tonight we are going to hear from my guest, Sylvester Edwards, Elder Sylvester Edwards, as I know him. And I will read just a portion of his bio. Elder Sylvester H. Edwards Sr. is a certified master life coach, author, husband, father of six, and an ordained elder with over 25 years of experience in various ministry roles. He is passionate about changing the lives of the next generation and those committed to leading a successful life. In his book entitled Teen Sex, adult responsibility, Sylvester teaches teens to abstain from sex and encourages teen parents to understand that they can be successful and good parents. Having been a teenage father at the age of 16, he draws upon his experiences and his ministry work to encourage teen parents not to give up on life, their child, or their future. Sylvester realized how difficult it was to raise a child, complete his studies, and build a solid future for his child. His latest book, Teen Sex Pitfalls and Possibilities, explains some of those challenges, hills, and valleys that a teen parent may face. He also shares some of the possible outcomes that may happen as a result of the decisions one has to make as a teen parent. He teaches teenagers, teen parents, their parents, and teen sex groups how to navigate life's uncharted territories and emerge stronger while making decisive decisions to lead a purposeful life. In compelling writings, he captivates readers with his inspirations, experiences, and reflections that evoke thoughts while igniting and inspiring positive change. Sylvester holds a Master of Divinity and a Master of Christian Education. He enjoys music, playing the drums, and spending time with his family in his free time. So let's bring into the studio with us today. I don't know if you have your pom poms. I don't know if you've got some streamers. I don't know what you got, but just help me welcome, put some claps, some hearts, whatever, and help me welcome Sylvester into Miss G's Ladies Lounge.
Hello. How are
Good.
you?
I am doing well. Good evening. How are you?
I am living a dream. My life is a dream, and I am enjoying every moment of it.
Well, that is so awesome. I am so excited to have you here with me on tonight. It's so amazing because I think I've met you probably over the last, I think it's been 7 or 8 years. And interestingly enough, there's
Hmm.
so much that I just did not know. And until you wrote the book, and it piqued the interest a little more. And sometimes we can be right in the midst of others and not know
Yes.
so much about them. So I'm so glad that you wrote the book
Thank
and your
you.
vision
Thank
became life, so that others can see that all that you have on the inside of you. So
you.
that's what we're all about here. This is the Visionaries Roundtable, where we invite visionaries to come and to express their visions and their
Okay.
dreams, as well as letting people see other sides to life.
Right.
So I'm gonna just give you a moment to just do a general greeting and just tell us a little bit about who is Sylvester Edwards outside of
Right.
church and books.
That's a great question, and it's really something that I'm still finding out myself. Just who am I? Depending on what realm or what arena we're in, we usually display what that arena desires or needs. So outside of it all, I'm just a happy guy, happy husband, father, and a guy who loves life. I'm living a dream I never thought I would get a chance to live. And so
Wow,
that's my whole life right there in a nutshell.
that's life. That's life. That is so awesome because the Bible tells us that Jesus came that we might have life and have it
Yeah,
more abundantly. So
yeah,
if we can live the life that He has planned for us, we're doing a great thing. So I appreciate that. So we've got some people chiming in with us. They joined
okay.
us on today. Excuse me. So we are going to also just greet them for a quick moment. Hey, there's my cousin all the way from Florida.
Oh,
She is my number one supporter. And we have Apostle Sharon Peace. I wonder who that is.
I heard
That's
that
the
name.
mother. Say that again.
I heard that name before.
You heard that name before. Yes, yes. So we're excited to have her here. We have Evelyn Merriman. Hi, I remember
Hey,
that
hey,
name.
how are you?
And, And we also have Emma Carr. Hey, Emma, long time no see. And I wonder who's this name as well. Natalie Peace Edwards, the wife, is checking in.
That's my better half right there.
All right. Well, we're so glad to have everybody who has joined in, and we want you to remain with us and make
Mhm.
sure that you join in the chat with us. We're going to just talk a few minutes about some great things. So we talked about the names of your books.
Uh-huh.
Teen sex. Let's just stop right there. Teen sex. Okay. I know a lot of people probably get scared as soon as you start talking and saying teen sex. It probably just either it makes them very interested or
Mhm.
very nervous about what's
Usually,
going to come next.
usually more nervous than interested.
Right. So this is a touchy subject, and especially being in Christianity and the church
Hmm.
and all, it can be a very touchy subject. However, it is a very necessary subject
Very.
because the reality is, whether you want to believe it or not, your kids are not all singing "Kumbaya." So
Very.
let's let's really deal with some topics, and so I'm
Okay.
so glad that you were not afraid and that you heeded the call. So let me ask you, I know that your bio says that you were yourself a
Mhm.
teen parent.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Indeed.
So that's great. However, a lot of people will never tell that side, as we said earlier, and
True.
definitely not write a book about it or write a
Hmm.
book, on the subject. So,
Hmm.
what actually inspired you to write books on teen sex?
It really all started. I think that the best way to explain it is my heart kept telling me, "Tell your story." And for
Mhm.
years, I would put it on the back burner, put it on the back burner. And finally, I said, okay, it's time to write this. Somebody
Mhm.
else needs to hear the story. We live usually and we think no one is looking, but you never know who's watching you. Donna Lawn said
Absolutely.
something in a song that stuck with me. It resonates in my mind. And his line was, "We become so others can become." And so, what I've gone through in order to become the man that I am today can help someone else become. And so,
Mhm.
that was the foundational motivation. The second reason was, I guess the best way to say it is to put light on the young men, because so
Mhm.
often the young men are not discussed when you talk about teen sex. Very
Mhm.
much so not discussed when you talk about being a teen parent. Usually the weight is put on a young lady and her family, and the young man is given a way of escape. So I want to close that door of escape. Is the young men have to
Mhm.
understand that they too are pregnant the moment the pregnancy begins.
Ooh, wow. I love it already. This is getting gooder and gooder. So, um, ooh, it just brought back a memory
Hmm.
because I worked as a medical management in a group home setting
Okay.
back in New York. And they were I had four different houses, and each
Okay.
house had like six individuals, but three of them were girls and only one was boys.
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of times, like you said, the boys don't get captivated, and they get just left out on the streets or left out wherever they are. And so it was very important. But the interesting thing to me was
Mhm.
the guys were more interested in when I had to do any type of sexual ed training with them.
Okay.
They were
Okay.
more interested and they were more receptive
Hmm.
than the girls.
Okay. And I
So,
can tell you one reason why.
mhm,
Usually, guys get sexual education in school only. They don't
mm,
usually get it from their parents. They get the foundation of it in school, but the actual learning comes from the uncles or the big brothers telling their experiences. And that's what teaches the young man what the experience should be or could be, or in his mind will be. And
mm,
so it really it takes the natural experience from him because it gives him someone else's to experience to hold on to. And so he's looking to that teacher to get a full understanding of just what is sex. Really, what is it? And so they gravitated to you. Plus, you being a woman, they felt they could trust you more because a man is so much tied to his mother usually than his father. And so you became a mother figure to them, and they felt that they could really trust you that much more.
Wow. That's great. That's great information. So we've got some more people who popped in. So I just want to say hello to Deacon Diane. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello,
And we
hello.
have Samantha Dabney. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So I know it said that you have 6 children yourself.
Yeah.
How many of your children are boys and how many of girls?
I have exactly 3 boys and exactly 3 girls.
Oh, okay. 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 So let's go back to parenting now.
Uh-huh.
Um, how can parents actually become more aware of their child's sexual activity or intent?
Yes, they can. The most important thing to do is to communicate with them, talk to them. Talk to them, talk to them. The more you communicate with them, the more they'll trust you and open up to you. And you'll find that your child is asking you questions that they want the answers to versus looking for them in the community or with other members of the family. They're coming to you because they're trusting your answers. And then your answers could be more than just answers, but a way of guiding them down the right path to make the right decisions. So that the number one thing to do, communicate, talk to them as much as you can.
Wow, wow, wow. And then what are common mistakes that parents make when they're trying to shield their children from teen sexual activity? We know we want, all parents want to try to preserve their children and keep
Mhm.
them pure
Yeah.
until marriage and all that. But what are some of the common mistakes that they make when they are trying to shield their children?
Oftentimes you'll find that when a parent wants to shield a child, the parent will find themselves looking the other way instead of
Mm,
engaging in the conversation, trying to keep the child out of what they think will be bad situations instead of using those experiences to help teach the child and help the child grow in knowledge. And so you'll find that they'll say, okay, well, when we were coming up, you went to church, and we went to church almost every day of the week.
mhm.
That was a way that parents considered themselves shielding the children, shielding us from the world. It didn't stop us from going to school and other places in the world, having friends that were in school who were sharing their experiences, which then we would take on to be what we would expect the experience to be for us when that day came. And so the most important thing I think we can do again is to talk to them, share with them, listen to your teenage children. Your teenage children have a story to tell, and they want to tell you it first. Listen to them. And when you build that trust and that communication, it will continue from their teen years into their young adult years and even into their adult years.
Hmm. Wow, that's good. That's good. We have Tammy Pulliam Edwards has joined in and said, "Your uncle sent you a greeting." Oh, nice. Thank you so much for joining us. So I understand, that the children,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be watching movies, they're going to be seeing things, they're going to be doing things, um, and I understand that parents do their best.
Mm-hmm.
So now you talked about children trusting parents,
Uh-huh.
or children trusting the parents. When does the parent get to trust the child, or what does it take for the parent to trust the child?
The parent really needs to display trust in the child from the first conversation they have with them. At 3 years old, if you don't display trust to your child, they will feel it, they'll know it. And so that has to start early, and then you build on that. That's your foundation. You build on that. So when they get to those, what we call the rough years, the teen years, where they're in school and the bodies are changing from maturity and everything is going on and the hormones are moving, that conversation, that trust has already been built. It helps the child come back to you for those answers and come to you for those understandings that they can so easily find in the street. We much rather they find them at home, much rather.
And I know, these may be some things that I'm asking that may be different from what the normal conversation
Mm-hmm,
um, we might have expected. But
mm-hmm,
in my head, it just popped in. What happens when um, what happens when the children actually um, engage in sexual activity,
mm-hmm.
and the parents become aware? Forget about pregnancy or anything, but just when the parents become aware, what does that do for for the family, or how can the family move through that, navigate through that? And I don't want you to give all your goodies away, because I know we want people to also come to you for
Yeah.
consultation and all. But just in general, what does that kind of do to a family in the midst of all of that?
You'll find that each family will be different, because each dynamic of family is different. When there's a father in the home, there's a whole lot more structure, usually with the kids. And so then those kids are statistically, will make better decisions or decisions not to engage. But when you have so many single parent homes, mostly single mothers, some single fathers, then you relying on that one parent for everything. And so yes, sometimes the children will make decisions and engage in things like sex before they really should. It affects the family usually when that child has a brother or sister that they're trusting and sharing with.
Mhm.
Now you're inviting or swapping stories because they could both be already sexually active. You're also
Mhm.
now negating the conversation with the parent who has the best information for you and the best guidance for you because you found that trust in the sibling. So I'll give you this. When my time came that I was 16 and I heard the words, I'm pregnant, everything in me hit the floor. Really, I almost hit the floor. But my first thought was, I have to share this with my mom. I've got to tell my mom because I was in a single parent home with my mom. And so
Okay.
my mom and I had a conversation once, and her words were, whatever you want to talk about, come in my room and say, Mom, let's talk. And we'll sit down and talk about it. It doesn't matter what it is.
Mm.
Now I was ready to test
Awesome.
her with that statement. So
Right.
I walked in her room and I said, Mom. And she said, yes. She was getting dressed to go to an event. And I said, well, I want to tell you that my girlfriend is pregnant. So I'm expecting this fireball to come, this whirlwind to come from nowhere and knock me through the other wall. My mom turned around to me and said these words, what are you telling me for? I had no idea how to react because it was the total opposite of what I expected. Her next line was, if you can create a child, you have to take care of that child. I'm not going to take care of that child for you. She continued finishing her makeup and went on to her event. Left me sitting in her room trying to figure out what just happened. But
Wow.
those words were the words that stayed in the back of my mind that helped motivate me to get in gear, to get to work, make decisions that are all going to be the best decisions for the child. And so as
Mhm.
a parent, you're going to be faced with some things. They're going to bring some things to you you may not want. How you respond to it can be
Mm.
detrimental or it can be very helpful. So you have to think before you speak. And then when you speak in love. Even if
Mm.
you're upset, you can still speak in love when you're
Right.
upset. And that will
Right.
help the child make the next decision their best decision and continue to make the best decisions on throughout the rest of their lives.
Wow, this is such awesome information. Thank you so much for everything you've already said so far. Apostle Sharon said, "You speak with wisdom." Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so much for joining us. So, I, I go back now again to that group home setting, and I have one of the. There were a lot of girls who were there because they were troubled teens,
Uh-huh.
um, and what you just said about sometimes the conversations carry on to even the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this one experience always stands out in my memory, and it was one young lady who was actually an A student, an honor roll student,
Mm-hmm.
and her mother had her as a teen. I think she had her at 15 or 16, and then now she's had 5 or 6 kids, and she's
Mm-hmm.
30, and she decides she doesn't want to have kids anymore. A little late. So she took the kids to the grandma. Took the grandma, took all the kids, but she would not take the 15 or 16-year-old. I believe she was 15. She would not take the 15-year-old because she was half her mom's age.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't take that child. And so they placed this child in this group home with a bunch of troubled teens.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, she was interested in her studies only, but they worked and worked until they educated her on everything they knew, which was not good information.
Mm-hmm.
And, it became such chaos. It was so sad to see that
Mm-hmm.
this honor roll A student was just so influenced, and she felt that pressure, that peer pressure.
Yes.
um, and it's just it happens that way. So now let's move to the point of, okay, so now you have these children having children, or
Yeah.
teens having children,
Yeah.
and they've got to grow up really quick.
Very quick.
um, some, because some of them, the parents take over, and they become a brother or sister.
Mm-hmm.
But how are the children or the babies affected by their teen parents? Or are they affected by having teen parents?
I don't really think that babies know. All they know is this is my mom, this is my dad. It's later on in life as they get older and begin to ask questions, then the stories are shared with them. But something that you said was key, how some teen parents find themselves being relieved of being a teen parent because their parents, the grandparent takes over. And so what that does then is enable that teen parent to go out and repeat the cycle again if they don't learn through conversation and education from the first experience. And so I can say that my mom was a woman of her words. She did not and would not take care of my child for me, but she
Mhm.
did ensure that I was taking care of her.
Right,
And
right.
so it was, I was still in high school. You got to get a job. You got to
Hmm.
figure it out. You got to keep your grades, but this child has to have, and it's your responsibility to provide. And so
Hmm.
that was her conversation with me. Probably for the first 6 or 7 years was for the harder years. And then
Hmm.
I was in my own groove at that point. I went through my military training, so I was kind of in my own groove of working and providing.
Hmm.
But it also gave me, I want to say, a fear of not letting my mom take care of my child. It became a fear of mine. I was really strong that she would not. I was so strong about it that I wouldn't even let my daughter spend the night at my mom's house. She
Wow.
couldn't even spend the night. Mom, it's my responsibility if she doesn't feel good at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not gonna put that
Mm.
on you. And so I would take her home with me every night, not let her spend the night. She was 14 when she spent the night at my mom's house for the first time.
Wow.
And I,
Well,
I was nervous then.
yeah, you had a good mother who trained you well,
Yes.
and you perpetuated that. So that's awesome. So let's go to now. You are also not just an author, but you are also a life coach.
Yes.
So this really just helps you with this whole topic to really bring it
Yeah.
all together. So as a life coach, are you do you solely provide services to the teens, or do you work with the entire family? How do you motivate or
Um,
work
I'm
with
really
that?
open to working with the entire family or individuals. Usually the parents of the teens and the teens themselves, but when you become a life coach, the word life means you have to be able to help give understanding to
Mhm.
everyone that's a part of the family, even those who may not have family, who may find themselves in a city where their family doesn't live, and they
Right.
just need a little bit of support and assistance. You find
Mhm.
yourself having to be able to help them understand where they are and the different avenues that they can choose to get to where they want to be. And so the
Mhm.
answer to the question is I'm open to help anyone who desires help.
Okay. Wow, that's awesome. I think that you know, I think that parents, I think that working with teens is good, but
Hmm.
again, if those parents are not like, sometimes they can be a stumbling block,
Hmm.
unfortunately to say. As a nurse, as one who has worked in different arenas, parents can sometimes, when I people ask me all the time, why did I stop doing pediatrics? Because I started out in peds. I loved peds.
Hmm.
And I said, because the kids had parents.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, that was like very hard sometimes dealing with the parents
I'm sure.
in various ways. But at the same time, I love kids. I love
Mm.
children. I love, teens and babies. I love them all, but sometimes you have to be able to work with the entire family. So I hope that those that reach out to you understand that it's going to take a concerted effort in order
Yes.
to really bring the children and the teens into a good place. So
Hmm.
what is one experience that you find difficult to address when it comes to working with youth or their parents when you are coaching them?
The hardest thing to do is to win their trust because
Mm.
they're usually so guarded from the things
Mhm.
that they've gone through. Winning their trust is the hardest thing. When you can win their trust, then they open up and they
Mhm.
begin to share. And the more that they can share with you in trust, the more they will share with you. And so the hardest thing is the initial winning of their trust. But once you get that, you're on the road to helping them to success.
Mhm. So let's talk about the book just a little bit more. Give us just an idea of how the book, who is the book going to help more? Is it going to help the teen? Is it going to help the parents? Tell us how the book is really beneficial to those who read it.
So the book is written primarily to the teen mothers and fathers, but information has been put in the book that will help parents understand what the teen mothers and fathers are going through. Because sometimes the parents weren't teen parents, and so they don't understand what their child is going through as a teen parent. And so I try to put enough information in it that would reach out to the parents to help them understand how to support and undergird their teen parents or teen children as they're going through this brand new phase of life, which is really a game changer. As a teen parent, when you hear your child take their first cry, everything in the world is different to you. An apple
Mhm.
is not an apple anymore. It becomes a
Right.
piece of fruit because
Mhm.
your focus now becomes not what I used to think, but how I have to think. And so
Mhm.
we have to know how to help those teen parents understand the importance of being there, the importance of being a good parent, and the importance of finishing their own educational careers and building the life that they desire for themselves, which in turn will be give them the ability to support and give all of the necessary things needed to their child for their child to grow in until they become what we normally would say is a viable members of society.
Wow. Wow. That's really good. That's really good. So the books, where are your books available? How can someone get your book? Um,
Okay,
I
so
believe somewhere.
the best place to get it is on my website, shedwards.com. That's my personal website where my book books. Both of my books are now displayed. I now have my second book, which is this book, Teen Sex, Pitfalls and Possibilities. This book then comes in and supports the first book and gives a little bit more information. For this book will be a little bit more for the parents to understand some of the
Okay.
things that their teen children can go through being a teen parent. So this is the second book. They're both on the website, and they're both there for purchase now. So that's the best place. But if you're not able to get to the website, shedwards.com, you can find these products on Amazon and as well on barnesandnoble.com. So those are the three major ways of finding these resources.
Wow, that's so awesome. So awesome. So I had another question and it came
Okay.
in and went out.
Question. Of question.
Let's see what this young lady said while I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a gentleman or a woman from Terrell. Coming from a single parent home without a father, how did you learn to make good fatherly decisions and where did you get that wisdom from? Okay.
A very good question. So what I had was a grandfather, and my grandfather really took on the role of being my father. He taught me what it was or how a man should treat a woman. He taught me all of the things, how to fish, how to hunt if I wanted to get into hunting. He took the time to just sit down and talk to me and share with me from a male perspective, a fatherly perspective. Being my grandfather, of course, he had all rights. He sat down and taught me what it was to be a man. And that meant being a provider, understanding why you have to provide, and understanding why you can't be selfish in providing. So he took the time to sit with me and teach me everything that I learned, how to work on a car. He taught me everything. And then I also had my other grandfather, who I would see a lot early on, but a little less in those middle years. But I would go over and I could sit and talk to him about anything from Bible to cars to life. And we would sit often and just conversate. And so those two were the major players in shaping me into being a man, or not just a male in the world, but really being a man.
That's good stuff right there. So now you are also,
Mm-hmm.
or you are not also, but you are an ordained elder. So let's back up where we started out.
All right. Come on.
That taboo subject.
Yeah.
How does this subject, how do you find that there's more education around this subject in churches, or does this area of coaching line up with biblical principles? Um, does it need more education in the church, or what? Tell us about that.
I would say yes to it all. It definitely, the church needs to embrace this type of teaching and education so that they can understand how to be a resource to young parents, not just teen parents, but even young adults, young parents who may need that support, that help, and even a little bit of assistance. So yes, it's huge for the church to embrace this. I find that usually it's more embraced not in the church, not in the schools, but individually. When you have parents or teens that you meet or groups, I'm a part of a couple different teen parenting groups, and that's where you usually find more of your questions, more of the embrace for the information and the desire for the teaching. But yes, the church definitely needs to get on board as much as possible, as well as the schools. Schools will teach sex
Mhm.
education, but they don't take the time to teach the second half of it. You're telling me
Mhm.
what it is and how to do it, but you're not telling me what to do when I engage. And
Right,
so, yes,
right.
we have to get this into the schools even more than it already has been introduced.
I agree because like I know one of the things that and when I was working in that group home setting,
Mhm.
I was in a different mindset. I'm gonna put it
Yeah.
that way. And everything was Jesus, Jesus, Jesus at the time.
Hmm.
I still love Jesus and everything still is Jesus. But the
Yeah.
reality is we still have to deal with certain things. And so I remember having to take young ladies, and talk to them, and then they wanted to go and get an abortion, and I was like, I'm not going in there, because it was not my belief. And it's still not my belief, for all those out there wondering. Now, I know there's different circumstances. However, for me, it was like, okay, well, I can't do this because I don't believe this. But I had to learn how to interact with the young
Yeah.
ladies and
Yes.
interact with the young men and try to help navigate them away
Hmm.
from all of that so that they wouldn't even have to encounter that. But you can't do it by just shutting everything down. That
Right.
was the part that I really had to learn. You can't
Right.
just shut it down and expect them to say, okay, they said we can't do this, so we
Yeah.
can't do this. Somebody's got to tell me something. Somebody has to, have more of a conversation. And so,
Right.
my job really was to do a lot of not just medical management, but
Hmm.
also I had to do classes, sexual ed training, and all that, um, which was another story. It was a little ironic, but it was another story.
No,
But it was interesting, and it became something that now, looking back, I wish I knew more, and I
hmm
would have been able to share more.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful even for the small impacts that I was able to make in life. And I think that I'm grateful for you and the great impacts
Thank
that
you.
you're making even now. I think this is just so, so fantastic.
Hmm.
We are so used to having women, like you
Yeah.
said in the beginning,
Yes.
having women coming and speaking and talking, and it's great, but there
Mhm.
has to be
Has to
that
be.
other side.
Yes. And really, it has to go both ways because on the male
Mhm,
platforms, we can't
mhm,
exclude women
mhm.
exclusively, exclude them because you
Right.
never hear from a woman's perspective. So
Mhm.
how does a man learn what a woman likes
Right.
if he hear it from a woman?
Right. Mhm.
So you have to have the woman's perspective, peppered in at different times so that you don't look at the picture from one side. Picture has two sides, and so if you look
Mhm.
at it from one side, you'll only understand half of what the author was painting and why they were painting it. Take the time
Mhm.
to share with both sides so that you can be well rounded when you begin to share with others in life. And so I
Mm.
think your experience in those group homes was more than just small impacts. I think you had major impacts
Mhm.
because you were someone there that they could trust. And being
Mhm.
that person there that they could trust, they listened to, watched you, and noticed everything you did. And without you knowing
They
it,
did.
they emulated. They emulated you, your
Mhm.
mannerisms, your smile. They emulated all of it because this was my positive role model. And so,
Mm.
no, if they weren't small impacts, they're huge impacts. A
Mhm.
smile says so much more than a frown.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That's so awesome. And so, Apostle Peace said, yes, share with both sides.
Mhm.
And oh, and the Pastor John Peace has chimed in himself. Said you're doing a wonderful job. So, and I know that your family is proud of you. And as we watch you as with your family
Mhm.
and raising your two little boys now and your older son, that I have seen, and I've seen your daughters. I don't really know them, but
Uh,
it appears to me that you are a great father and they love you. And so I'm glad to have you even available that I can. I recently, someone asked me about a mentor, and I said to them, well, I think that, you do mentoring. So
yeah.
let's talk about that real quick. Are you available for speaking engagements, for mentoring, or what are you available for that people can reach out to you
All right.
and employ your services?
Let me go back one statement. A minute ago, you said that you've seen me and you believe that I'm a good father. My daughters tell me all the time, Dad, you're a good father. And I explain to them, I'm average. Anything that you see that I am is what every father should be. I'm just the average dad who cared enough not to give up. And so if every father in the world would care enough not to give up, they would be able to see the fruits of their hard works later in life, just as I've been able to see. And so I appreciate your comment, but I don't see myself any more than I am. I'm a guy who just did not give up on my children.
And
And
that's a good thing.
but to continue on, that made me forget what you just asked me.
What services do you provide or offer, if anyone, and how can anyone reach out to you if they're interested in your services?
So I'm a life coach. I'm here to help you navigate through the different channels, hills and valleys of life. I offer life coach services, mentoring services. I offer conversational services because sometimes people just want to be able to talk to somebody and to hear a
Mhm.
different aspect or from a different side. So I'm available for that as well. From a ministerial standpoint, I'm available for speaking engagements as well as from a life coach standpoint. So I'm available for speaking engagements and anything else that is tied to the ministerial or helping the, the next generation, this generation, or the generation that came before us get a better understanding of anything that deals with it we deal with in life. Just available. Reach out to
Wow,
me. I'm right here.
that's awesome. I I just ooh, so I'm really excited about your future. I'm really excited about your
Thank
future. I am in no way a prophet, prophetess, or any of those other special titles. But sometimes I do see people in a
you.
different light,
Hmm.
and I just see you standing on huge stages,
Thank
sharing this information, sharing your book, sharing with students, sharing
you.
with
Yeah.
arenas.
Yeah.
I really see that, and I believe that God is going to grant you that if that is your heart's desire. So
Yeah.
keep pressing, keep pushing, and so they can reach out at your website as well, which is here.
Yeah.
You can purchase the books, pre-order. It's still for pre-order, the new book, or is it?
As of, as of today, it is now available. Yes.
Yay! Yay! So you can go there and actually order either of the books or both. Get you a nice package deal and share it
Yes.
with your
Yes.
family, your nieces, nephews, cousins, anybody, and everybody.
Anybody, every.
Everybody. And so, and at
Uh,
www.shedwards.com, you
yes.
can also request any more information that you would need.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that you have joined me on today. I tell you, I really enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed most of my guests or all of my guests. I really enjoyed them, but some conversations really just, who they really just get to me. And I'll tell you more about that another day. So Elder Pam is here. She said she's been knowing you over 30 years, and you are a beautiful soul. And I know that you are
Yes.
such a great worker and servant.
Yes. Yes.
Even though you are a minister, you are a great servant to our leaders,
Yes.
as we share. And I am so just so happy for you. Looking forward to what God is going to do in your life. Do you have any final comments that you would like to share with our audience?
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me. I enjoy speaking and speaking publicly so that other people can hear a different perspective. I'm available for whatever services that you need to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. So, yes, I'm a life coach, but more than anything at all, I'll just be your friend. Call me, email me, contact me, and I'm available. We can begin working as soon as tomorrow.
As soon as tomorrow. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much once
Thank
again. And thank you all that have joined us on behalf of Elder Sylvester on today and just joined us and joined in this conversation. Share it with your family, share it with your
you
friends.
all. You all.
Even though it's not live, it is great information that will forever be available.
Yes.
You can share it from YouTube, you can share it
Mhm.
from Facebook, you can share it from Twitter. We're everywhere. All right. So thank you once again. Have
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
night and get yourself
Thank
some
you.
good rest.
I
All
will.
right.
You do the same.
Thank you. All right, family and friends, thank you once again for joining us on tonight. What an absolutely amazing chat with Sylvester Edwards on tonight. And I look forward to joining me again. So don't make this your last time. You can come and visit us with every guest that we have here. And so I just want to remind you that God loves you, and so do I. So make this your great day. Have a wonderful evening.